from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Fired up to be here. We are getting closer to regional baseball, and I told you yesterday we are going to spend a lot of time on said regional today. I'm going to start things off with how I would pitch it if I was LSU. Joe Freeman's going to join us in 15 minutes. He covers Oregon and Oregon State for the Oregonians, so we'll talk Beavers with Joe Freeman. I'm excited to have Jay Sirianni come on at 2 o'clock. He's the head coach over at Sam Houston State. He's going to join us at 2 o'clock as he brings the 3 seed into Baton Rouge for the weekend. And, of course, always on Wednesdays we chat with Chris Demui at 2:30. So locked and loaded for the next 2 hours. Got Casey Gaines and Alondra Villarreal back there on the ones and twos. Appreciate you spending your Wednesday with us as we put half the work week in the rearview mirror, and I guess more than half of the work week if you got Monday off, which hopefully you did. We did. And I'm actually not going to be here tomorrow because we got some stuff to deal with down in New Orleans, but we'll be here to get the festivities started for regional play on Friday. Very much looking forward to that. So let's get into how I would pitch it if I was LSU. We have been talking about the performances of Ty Floyd and Thatcher Hurd and Paul Skeens and Riley Cooper and Blake Money and Griffin Herring and all these guys in midweek games and weekend games, and all of that was kind of in preparation for this. And I got asked a lot, sometimes in What If Wednesdays, sometimes in the Bayou Ford chatter on Twitter. I would get asked, like, who should pitch the regional opener? And I always tell you, like, I need to see what the regional looks like. Let me look at the matchups, let me look at the teams, and let me tell you how I think it should look. And now we have that. So I've given this a lot of thought, and I'll be honest, I've gone a little bit back and forth on it. But I've got my opinion on what I would do, and I've got some opinions that if they were to come true would be a little disappointing to me. But here's what I look at it. Tulane comes in here, and you know the story on Tulane at this point. They're 19-40. Away from home, they're 6-19. They don't swing the bat especially well, although they did last week. And they don't have great arms. Not in the starting rotation, not in the bullpen. It's a poor baseball team as tournament teams go. I think there are probably, some teams that qualify for a tournament here or there that are worse, just based on Tulane's geography and but it's not a great team. We'll start there, okay? Then we don't have to talk about anything on Saturday because Paul Skeens is going to pitch for LSU on Saturday, and it doesn't matter what the matchup is in that situation, right? So we're concerned really with Friday and Sunday and how those shake out. That's what's got to matter. So here is my thinking. Let's start with the 2 seed, Oregon State, who you could see on Saturday. By the way, you don't see Tulane on Saturday. It's impossible. So we're not going to talk about them anymore for the purpose of this conversation. Makes sense? Okay. The 2 seed, Oregon State. Here's what they're bringing to Baton Rouge for the regional. Their ace this season was Jaron Hunter. He's been out for a month. He's not pitching this weekend. I cross him off the list. Jacob Kmatz was their number 3 starter this year. He's not pitching this weekend. So I cross him off the list. Okay, so now, who are the possibilities for Oregon State on Saturday? And I know you don't know any of these names, but just bear with me as I work through this train of thought. The 2 guys who pitched in the Pac-12 tournament for them, they went 0-2, were Ben Ferrer and Rhett Larson. Okay? Those 2 guys have not been full-time starters for them this year. Ferrer, that was his 3rd start. Larson, that was his 5th start. So, could you see one of those 2 guys on Saturday? Very likely. Because it sounds like Trent Sellers, who's their ace, who did not pitch in the Pac-12 tournament, is going to pitch on Friday. And his numbers are pretty good outside of the ERA. I like to look at strikeout numbers. And Trent Sellers has gone 66 2/3 innings this year. He has 101 strikeouts. Those are big strikeout numbers. But I think you're going to see him on Friday. So LSU would not face him. That means on Saturday, with the 2 injuries and your ace going on Friday, that Farrer and Larson are potentially your guys. If not, A.J. Lattery has made 8 starts for them. He's thrown 44 innings on the season, and his ERA is right around 4. Okay, you start to go through these options. None of them are jumping off the page, and somebody would have to pitch on Sunday, which is what we're going to get to with LSU. It's not a deep staff. It doesn't look like Southern Miss's staff last year that really had a lot of guys with really good numbers. So Oregon State's pitching is a little compromised based on injury and who they've got to use on Friday. Okay? Now let's talk Sam Houston briefly. Sam Houston had 2 guys. The 2 guys who have started the most games for them are Colton Atkinson and Stephen Beard. Colton Atkinson has made 16 starts. That's every week, +1. And Stephen Beard has made 15 starts. That's every week. So these are their 2 main starters. Let me tell you what Colton Atkinson and Stephen Beard did last weekend. Colton Atkinson, who's made the most starts for them, threw an inning and a third in his start, gave up 7 runs on 6 hits. He had 2 walks and a strikeout. That was against Utah Valley. And he was better than Stephen Beard. Stephen Beard didn't get 3 outs. He threw 2/3 of an inning, gave up 7 earned runs on 6 hits, didn't walk anybody, 1 strikeout. Those were against Utah Valley. These are the 2 guys who have eaten up the most innings for them. Their third pitcher, Gavy Coldiron, has made 11 starts, and his numbers are okay. But if you're working with me here, and LSU beats Tulane and wins on Saturday behind Skeens, Coldiron theoretically is going to have to pitch the morning game on Sunday. So he's not even available. And then you start to get into guys who have made 6 starts on the year, 8 starts on the year, and all have ERAs over 5.5 in the whack. Whoever LSU plays on Sunday, if they win the first 2, and that's the point of this discussion right now, is if LSU wins the first 2, is going to be out of pitching. Out of pitching. So I start to look at this, and I made the comment 2 weeks ago that I thought the best chance for LSU to get through a hypothetical regional that I didn't have in front of me like I do now was to try to rough it through Friday with the bullpen guys, then win behind Skeens, and have Floyd ready to go against the 2 or 3 seed theoretically on Saturday. Because I had very little confidence in LSU's back end of its starting rotation and bullpen guys at that point to get it done at the end, like they couldn't get it done last year against Southern Miss on the road. So I thought you got a better chance of getting through the 4 seed and winning with your guys on Sunday with Floyd because of what I've seen. I've got an inconsistent Thatcher Hurd. I've got an inconsistent Riley Cooper. I've got an inconsistent Griffin Herring. I've got an inconsistent Kristen Little. All these guys that they've tried weren't really throwing the ball very well. And that's the way I felt 2 weeks ago. I will tell you now that I've changed my mind. I believe these teams that LSU is going to face later on in this regional are going to be so decimated in terms of their pitching and what they've got left to throw against LSU in Alec Box Stadium that I just want to get there. I would throw Ty Floyd on Friday against Tulane. And I hear you. You're wasting Ty Floyd against Tulane. They've got 40 losses. I've got a great chance to win that ball game if I throw Ty Floyd out there. I've got a great chance for him to get me through 6 innings. And at that point, you take control of the regional with Paul Skeens. And oh, by the way, Thatcher Hurd's throwing it pretty good. And now I've got him against all these guys with 6 ERAs in the whack. That's not exactly a compromised position. LSU was pretty compromised last year. They had to throw Mikhail Hilliard back out there to start another game. The bullpen guys kept being asked to go out there. More Gervais, more Raiselman. It's not exactly the same. Plus, Southern Miss had 7 good arms last year. I don't see it as wasting Ty Floyd on Friday. I see it as taking control of the regional on Friday. The draw is good. You're bringing Oregon State in here with 2 arms hurt and an ace having to pitch on Friday. And you're bringing a Sam Houston team in here that just doesn't have much in the way of good pitching. They just don't have a lot of guys with great numbers against the WAC. Sure, David Chandler's numbers look pretty good. He hadn't started a game this year. He goes about 2 innings every time he's out there. Am I scared he's going to go out there and give him 7 on Sunday? Probably not. So I gave this a lot of thought. And I'll be honest. If he decides to go with Thatcher Hurd on Friday, I'll be okay with that. I think Thatcher Hurd's plenty capable of giving you a really solid start. And if you want to save Ty Floyd for Sunday, that's okay. But that's where I stop it, at Floyd and Hurd. You go to Skeens, I think you're way out over your skis, not to use basically a rhyme there, and I would not like that at all. And I don't think that's going to happen. And if you go with your Riley Cooper, Blake Money, Griffin Herring thing, I don't like that either. I don't think it sends a good message to your team. I don't think it sends a message to the other team. And I'm just not willing to throw this thing away in totality. There are some teams that have come in here in regional play where I would have felt that way. There was a Utah Valley team that came that I didn't think was very good. There was a Jackson State team that came in that I didn't think was very good. And Tulane's record's terrible. But I'm not willing to go that far in the other direction. So keep it between the buoys here. It's Floyd or Hurd, and I think we're all in agreement on that. I prefer Floyd. I think it puts you in a great position. I think Skeens can take control of things. And I'm confident now in Thatcher Hurd in a way that I was not 2 weeks ago when I told you I didn't want him pitching on Sunday night. He's been better, and I think that's okay. So that's my opinion on this regional. I think LSU should go Floyd, Skeens, and Hurd. We'll see what for Friday's game. I don't think that's one where you're going to have to wait until Friday morning. I guess it's possible, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Here we go. I'm excited to get into it. We got a lot of regional to talk over the course of the next hour and 45 minutes. Let's take a time out. When we come back, Joe Freeman writes for the Oregonian. He covers Oregon State. He'll tell us about the injuries that Oregon State is bringing here and what kind of club is coming down from the Pacific Northwest. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $15,000 off plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on all new 22 Ford F-150 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like this Wall Street.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
All right, let's say ah.
Up on Thursday's OTB, the penultimate day before the postseason begins. Are the Tigers ready for the regional? Plus, the latest from the SEC spring meetings. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU and Tulane will get things underway at 2 o'clock at Alex Box Stadium on Friday afternoon. The nightcap will be the 2-seed Oregon State against the 3-seed Sam Houston. Joe Freeman writes for the Oregonian, covers the Oregon State Beavers. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearm Hotline. Joe, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
Doing very well. We appreciate the time very much. I know that y'all had a chance to chat with everyone over at Oregon State, including head coach Mitch Canham yesterday. What's the reaction to being sent down to Baton Rouge?
It's a pretty excited reaction, actually. It was a tough draw, of course, heading to Alex Box, but this is a team that has high expectations, that entered the season with high expectations. There's kind of the whole cliche, you got to beat the best to get to Omaha anyway. And so they're embracing the challenge and excited about heading to Baton Rouge.
Of course, those that follow LSU are very familiar with this Oregon State program. They've been down here for a regional. LSU went up to Corvallis for a regional. They had a couple of really epic games in 2017 in Omaha with that unbelievable Oregon State team. But that was the Pat Casey era, and this is the Mitch Canham era. I know that he played for Pat Casey. He worked under Pat Casey. But what's kind of the program look like now that Coach Casey no longer in charge?
Well, a lot of it is kind of a carbon copy. Mitch Canham was a two-time national champion and an All-American under Pat Casey. He was a catcher on those title-winning teams, and he carries a lot of the same kind of program ethos and kind of built around character and a family. But he's a much softer hand than Pat Casey, who was kind of a fireball coach and a fiery coach, and Mitch kind of, while incredibly uber competitive, he keeps a lot of that calm and kind of under the surface. And so from that standpoint, he has a much more calm hand when guiding the program. But as someone who came up through the program, he still carries that high, level of expectation. And so, every season this team talks about winning championships and going to Omaha. They lost 8 first-round draft picks from last year's team, including, the National Pitcher of the Year, Cooper Jerpy, who was a first-round draft pick, the Pac-12 Player of the Year, Jacob Melton, who was a second-round pick, a bevy of seniors and high draft picks. And so most kind of expected this to be kind of a rebuilding year with a whole mess of new faces and new guys in important roles. But instead, they, finished second in the Pac-12 and kind of still have those national championship aspirations. So it's just kind of the goal every year, much, to the credit of Casey, who set that foundation.
I tried to kind of go through the pitching for this Oklahoma State team as it stands right now in my last segment, but obviously you know it a lot more intimately than I do. Jaron Hunter was really good early on. He's been out for a month and won't pitch this weekend, and Jacob Matz is not going to pitch this weekend either. That leaves me to run down the stat sheet and go, well, looks like Trent Sellers is their guy, statistically speaking at least. Do you expect to see him on Friday?
Yes, I expect Sellers to start game 1. And quite frankly, the biggest question mark surrounding the Oregon State team right now is their pitching. It was their strength over the first 2 months of the season. The offense really struggled out of the gates this year. At one point, they were hitting 191 in conference play. I think they were 1-5 in conference play. It was their worst start to a conference season in over a decade. And there were a lot of questions about that youth and inexperience that I mentioned earlier. The pitching kept things afloat during that stretch. The offense eventually caught fire and kind of has been one of the better offensive units in the Pac-12 over the last half of the season. But the pitching staff really struggled in the Pac-12 tournament, had like a 12-something ERA in 2 games, gave up 22 runs, and really kind of labored down the stretch. And then, as you mentioned, their weekend starters, Jacob Kamatz, who was their Saturday starter last year as a freshman and this year as a sophomore, he will miss the rest of the postseason. Jaron Hunter will miss the rest of the postseason. So the only given right now is Trent Sellers. Beyond him, you have A.J. Lattery, who is kind of a midweek starter, and you have Rhett Larson, who's a transfer, a very inexperienced starter. And then kind of another option would be Ben Ferrer, who's an absolute bulldog and the most important pitcher on the staff. He has kind of the ability to both start and pitch long relief and even close games if necessary. He was critical to their, run to the super regionals last year. And after kind of starting the season with mono, has built his way back and become an important figure now. So it kind of sounds like the staff is leaning towards having Ferrer be more of a multiple game thrower and not start. But I think a lot depends on how things go in game 1 and how things stack up for game 2. But Trent Sellers will start game 1 is my understanding.
I see 10 saves for Ryan Brown, which is impressive, and it's got more strikeouts than innings pitched. Is that a guy that they would go to late in games?
Yeah, he's been their closer all year. He kind of evolved into their closer midway through last year. At one point this season, he had given up 2 hits over the course of 6 or 7 or 8 appearances, and was at the lead or held the saves lead in the Pac-12 for most of the season. He kind of hit a rough patch in April a little bit, but kind of righted the ship at the end of the season, and he absolutely is their closer.
Chatting Oregon State baseball with Joe Freeman of the Oregonian. Beavers will come down as the 2 seed and play on Friday night against Sam Houston State. All right, let's talk offense, Joe. And some of the statistics are phenomenal, as a lot of college baseball players are very offensive these days. But Travis Bazzana, these numbers are out of control. I mean, what kind of a player is coming down here playing second base for the Beavs?
Well, as legendary UCLA coach, the UCLA coach said when they played earlier in the season, he's probably the best player in the country, at least from his perspective. So he is among the best players in the country. He's a sophomore second baseman, a native of Australia, came to Oregon State, started from day one as a freshman, and was an all Pac-12 player, has been for both of his seasons, an all defensive team member both of his seasons. But he was really the catalyst behind the team's midseason kind of turnaround. As I mentioned, They were 1-5 to start Pac-12 play, and they were kind of at the bottom of the standings, stunningly, early on. On April 1st, Mitch Canham, the Beavers coach, sent Travis Bazzana to the top of the lineup and kind of said, hey, we want you to set the tone for this team, kind of create an identity. And he all of a sudden just started raking. And he had been hitting well. By no means was he playing poorly, but he just caught fire, ended up with 36 stolen bases to lead the Pac-12, kind of created an identity of being a pest on the paces and stealing more bases, and that kind of spread throughout the lineup. And so, he's a guy who's hitting, 370 something, and he leads the Pac-12 in walks and stolen bases, on base percentage, and just really versatile. He once in one game had 3 bunt singles and hit a grand slam. So, that speaks volumes about what he can do. He set the school record with 5 stolen bases in one game earlier this year. And so just a real talented, driven player and kind of the heartbeat of the team. And then, going from there, Garrett Forrester is another incredible player. He's a 3-year starter as a junior, 2-time All Pac-12 player, and he tends to play his best in the postseason. So he kind of follows there, and then Micah McDowell and Mason Guerra kind of follow them too. But what might separate what the Beavers are able to do on offense is those guys are going to produce that I just mentioned. They're the more experienced guys, the guys that have been around the program for years. The Beavers have one of the more talented freshman prospects in college baseball. His name's Gavin Turley. He was about $100,000 away from being a first-round draft pick last year, but he ended up passing on an offer, went to Oregon State. He ended up sliding in the draft because teams didn't meet his asking price. I think D1 Baseball had him as the number 2 rated freshman in the country. Hit a home run in his first college at-bat, hit another home run in his first home at-bat, and through the first, 3 to 4 weeks of the season was batting over 400 and slugging over 600 and just destroying everyone he faced. Went into the wildest, craziest slump you'll ever see over that course of the next month, lost his place in the lineup, and then finally dug his way out of that slump and got back in the lineup here in the last 3-4 weeks of the season, hit 4 home runs in the Beavers' last 2 games of last series of the regular season, and then had a huge Pac-12 tournament with like a home run and 4 or 5 doubles. And so if he can be the potent kind of slugging force that he was at the beginning and late, it just completely changes what this Beavers team can do on offense, because it gives them that extra, scoreboard changing threat kind of middle to the down of the lineup.
What do you think Mitch Canham is trying to prepare his guys for a little bit more? Would it be the elements and the heat and the hydration down here where it's 100 degrees? I just looked at the Corvallis weather. It's 58 today. Sounds lovely. Or the 10,000 in the stands should they play LSU in a couple of big games?
Well, the Beavers just played in the Pac-12 tournament where it was 100 degrees in Phoenix. And yeah, so they're accustomed to that. The heat was certainly not an issue that they went 2-0 there. They lost on a walk-off in the 9th in their opener, and then just got beaten their second game. I don't think he would say he's worried about either, to be honest with you. This is a team that's played big games in big venues over the years, as you guys saw firsthand a few years ago when they rolled through on their way to their on the title. Yep. So I don't think this program kind of cowers away from either of those two things. Of course, he's eternally optimistic, so he probably wouldn't admit that he's concerned about anything, but I would be more concerned about the pitching. When you lose your 2 of your 3 starters, and Kmat's pitched all the way up to the regular season finale, so he is a late subtraction from the rotation. They have been able to account for Jaron Hunter's absence late in the year. So that just kind of pushes everything down and stretches things out even more. The bullpen has been very, very effective most of the season, and in particular when they were so dominant. The staff was so dominant early, over the first month or 2. But there's a lot of freshmen that have been relied on, and a lot of people going into pressure-packed situations for the first time. So, for my money, it's the pitching and how the pitching responds that will separate, how the Beavers fare in this regional.
We shall see. He'll get underway on Friday night. It's Oregon State and Sam Houston from the box. Joe, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll see you down there. Take care.
He's Joe Freeman of the Oregonian. Appreciate him spending some time with us. I learned a few things there for sure. I think it's very relevant that they've had a young freshman who started like crazy, went to a huge slump, and then hit 4 home runs in a weekend, talking about Gavin Turley there. And as he mentioned, like I said at the top, like they've got pitching issues from a starting pitching perspective, and that's something that can rear its ugly head in a big way. You get to Sunday night and into Monday potentially of a regional. So the offense is really, really good. They've got some bullpen guys and some bats. We'll see. It should be a fun one this weekend. As we turn towards the Baton Rouge Regional, we'll get a perspective from the Sam Houston State Club. Their head coach, Jay Sirianni, is going to join me in 30 minutes at straight up 2 o'clock, so very much looking forward to that. I'll give you some sound from Tulane's potential starting pitcher on Friday that you might want to hear coming up at 1:45 in 15 minutes. When we come back, it's What If Wednesday on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily.
Sandgriff, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Matt Humans will be with us. Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas and Ronnie Rance on the LSU Baton Rouge Regional. Live at Lunch, 11 to 1 weekdays on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Appreciate Joe Freeman from jumping aboard. Covers the Beavers for the Oregonians. Going to be coming down to Baton Rouge, so probably run into Joe up there at the old press box. We're going to chat about Sam Houston State coming up in 25 minutes with their head coach, Jay Sirianni. But right now, it's What If Wednesday.
Time. Space. Reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, Hunt, what if you could change college baseball's postseason?
I would. The regional is fun. This discussion we're having about who's LSU going to throw in game one, or are they going to hold Paul Skeens to game two, or are they going to pitch off all the way and do a bullpen game so that they can have their starting pitching? Like, that's all fun fodder for us. It makes things very interesting to understand, is Tennessee going to hold Chase Dolander against the 3 seeds so they can have him for the 1 seed? Like, there's a lot of fun discussion that goes into that. But what it also does is far too often, I think, especially series that go to Monday, put coaches in a position and young players in a position where you've got to put yourself in what may be unnecessary harm's way. I mean, I just feel like having starters from Friday come back on Sunday or Monday is not a healthy thing to do to the elbow and the shoulder. And when teams are trying to win, you far too often, I think, put them in that position. So I think if it were up to me, I would go back. I would go to 3-game series. So you're going to have to add a week and maybe cut out conference tournament week. But college baseball teams are built for 3-game series. And I think to put them in 3-game series instead of a situation where you got to play on Friday, play on Saturday, and then play Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and Monday night, you're putting too much stress on a college baseball staff to try to come out of the loser's bracket. And you eliminate that with 3-game series. And it's not as fun for us to talk about, and it's not 4 teams that show up at once, it's just 1. And I get the positives of the regional field. The 6-team regional was way too much. You had guys coming back a couple times on a weekend to pitch in that era, and I just don't know that that's the best way to treat 20-year-old arms. So I would go ahead and go to 3-game series exclusively.
Okay, what if you had to stay in a dorm room while playing in a regional?
I think everyone's heard of this now. There is a country music concert festival in Lexington. There are also high school state championships that have been on the books for months in Lexington, and hotel rooms are scarce in a big way. So these teams that are coming in to the Lexington Regional, West Virginia, Indiana, like, they don't have any hotel rooms. So Kentucky's putting them up in their dorms. I don't know if they're gorgeous brand new dorms with, bathrooms in each one of them and, comfortable beds, or if they're, been there for 65 years a la Kirby Smith, and that's what you're having to deal with. I don't know. But I know that there are adult men and coaches who are staying in dorms who haven't done that in a minute. And I know that they are charging them about $100 a night to stay in the dorms. So that Kentucky's making money off of it. It's a little bit much, and they probably should have looked ahead of this, but I don't know that anybody had Kentucky hosting a regional when we kicked this thing off. So, excuse me, here we are.
I feel like this is like low-key sabotage a little bit for the other team, but
It could be.
What if Zion Williamson takes his diet and conditioning seriously?
So this one came off Twitter, and like, I can't tell you that if he was in better shape than he's been in the last 3 years, he still wouldn't get hurt. I don't know. That body is different than mine. It is different than almost all of them. And I don't know that he's getting hurt because he's out of shape. I could tell you that he should be in better shape, and I'm not going to tell you that it would hurt if he was in better shape, but I can't sit here and definitively say if Zion Williamson lost 12 pounds and was in better physical shape that his hamstring or his foot or whatever the current ailment may be of the flavor of the week, that it would be better. I don't know. That's going to be a question in this Pelicans organization until it's not.
What if the 2020 LSU baseball season were to continue? How would it have played out?
I wasn't over the moon with that team when COVID hit. It was a team that was, I thought, light in terms of their offensive ability. They were going to lean heavily on that staff. It was going to be Cole Henry. It was going to be Landon Marceau. It was going to be A.J. Levis. They had, at that point, that team was bringing Jaden Hill out of the bullpen to close games. If you remember that Texas game that they won in Houston, where Cabrera hit the homer and they brought in Jaden Hill and he was throwing 98 miles an hour and he was kind of their X factor. But if you looked at them offensively, Giovanni DiGiacomo was off to a good start. I don't know how sustainable that was. Daniel Cabrera was off to a good start. He would have been an all-conference player. Cade Beloso was a big force on that team. Then you had Cade Doty, who was a young player who was hitting 278. And then you had guys like Zach Mathis, Saul Garza, Alex Milazzo, Collier Cranford, Mitchell Sanford. Those were some guys who were logging significant time. Drew Bianco was hitting 074 at that point. They were going to be light offensively. They got no hit by Oklahoma. And that was one of those deals where I was at that game and everybody's like, oh my God, you have to see a no-hitter. Is that cool? No, it wasn't cool. It was awful. I sat there and my team didn't get a hit for 3 hours. It sucked. It was not fun at all. I don't care about the history aspect. I can't even tell you what the Oklahoma pitcher's name was. He threw a no-hitter right in front of me. It was awful. So I think they were going to pitch. Henry was off to a really good start that year. I mean, he had struck out, 23 in 19 innings. His ERA was under 2. Marceau was off to a pretty good start. Labus was not off to a great start, but you had Matthew Beck and Jaden Hill, Mikhail Hilliard, Devin Fontenot. You had some guys on that team that could get some outs, and they were going to have to pitch their way through it. I was not uber optimistic about that team when COVID hit, and then obviously we had bigger issues to deal with. But I think that would not have been a top 8 seed, and in my opinion, was not going to be a regional host team. I think they would have gotten in because they would have pitched it well enough and won enough games behind those guys had they stayed healthy. But that's kind of where I am on that squad. So that's a little What If Wednesday here. Appreciate y'all for firing away on Twitter. I hadn't even looked at the Bayou Ford chat for this segment, but y'all didn't say anything. Y'all are over there chatting, which is just fine. We're going to take a time out. When we come back to close out hour number 1, 2 LSU football game times have been announced. We'll tell you about those. And a quote from Tulane's potential starting pitcher on Friday that you may want to hear. That's all next in the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is on Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Musso, join us for Wednesday's AFR presented by Pluckers. We'll have the latest from SEC spring meetings and from Saints OTAs. It's Wednesday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Got some TV times for football. LSU, of course, starting the Sunday of Labor Day weekend against Florida State down in Orlando. That's been decided for a couple of weeks now. But we have a game time for week 2, the home opener against Grambling State. That'll be a 6:30 kickoff on ESPN+. That'll be a streaming game, 6:30 in the home opener Saturday night in Death Valley. In week 3, LSU goes on the road to open conference play in Starkville, Mississippi against the Bulldogs. That game will kick off at 11 o'clock in the morning. And I know that you're disappointed in that. The postgame show host is not disappointed in that. He loves that. I will be off the air at 4 o'clock and will enjoy the rest of my afternoon after LSU hopefully takes care of Mississippi State amidst some early morning cowbells. Ooh, that's tough for like a student, maybe somebody that had a couple too many on Friday night getting ready for LSU Mississippi State, and then you got to get in the stadium and hear cowbells clanging at 9:30 in the morning. That can be tough on a little hangover, but it'll be in Starkville, and I'll be right here in Baton Rouge, and it'll be an early morning kickoff, which I like for road games. I will give you all the benefit of the doubt on home games. I'll take one for the team. I'll do the postgame show until 1 o'clock in the morning. That's fine. Saturday night in Death Valley, I know you need it. I know you want it. You can have it. Every once in a while, we step out of town. They want to play at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be just fine with that. So 6:30 kick for LSU and Grambling inside Tiger Stadium in week 2. Week 3, LSU will travel to Starkville, and they'll play Mississippi State at 11 o'clock in the morning on ESPN on the Big 4 letter. So they will go right in from game day to Starkville, Mississippi. All right, I wanted to get to this sound talking about Tulane. The assumption would be that Tulane is going to start left-hander Dylan Carmouche. Carmouche is from right here in Baton Rouge, went to U-High, then went to Mississippi State, was on their team a couple of years ago when they won the national championship, pitched sparingly on that team, and then transferred back, and now he is at Tulane. And he's had a decent year for the Green Wave. He's got a 5.44 ERA. He started 15 games for him and has struck out 186 innings of work and got double duty in the AAC tournament back over the weekend. But he was asked yesterday, and what do you think about taking on LSU? And this is a guy who grew up around this program, grew up in this city, knows what the box is about in a regional, and is familiar with them. You know, obviously being in South Louisiana and playing college baseball. This is what he had to say about potentially getting the nod against LSU on Friday.
I'm really excited. I mean, they're a good team. They've got really good hitters, and but they're beatable. They're so human. I mean, everybody acts like they're amazing, but they can get out, and I think we can win.
All right, Dylan. Everybody thinks they're amazing, but they can get out. They're beatable. I think we can win. For the record, I personally don't have any problem with anything that Dylan just said. But I know there are some of you listening that think that's fanning the flames. There may be somebody in LSU's locker room who thinks that's a little bit of disrespect. You know, I personally think that a young man who's throwing the ball well, and his best start was the one in the AAC tournament where he was great against Memphis, should feel confident and should feel like his team's got a chance to win. Absolutely. But calling him out a little bit can get under some people's nerves. I think a lot of it's overblown. And I think if LSU personally needs Dylan Carmouche to come on and say that they're beatable, for them to get up and get ready to play in front of 10,000 at 2 o'clock inside the box, where most of them never played a regional game, then they're probably not in the right mindset anyway. I think they should be ready to go, rip-roaring, playing hard, and dialed in. If that brings their intensity level up another notch, maybe that's a good thing. We'll see. I haven't heard that they've announced that Carmouche is going to be the starter. They've got one other pitcher who's made 15 starts, which is Ricky Castro. His numbers are fairly comparable. He doesn't strike out as many guys, but the batting average against is about the same. The ERA is about the same. The homers given up is about the same. They're fairly comparable pitchers, but Carmouche being the left-hander, I think it's very possible that that'll be the guy that they'll throw out there. But again, like, if you're concerned about Carmouche as a left-hander because Hagen Smith and Hunter Holland had real success against LSU in 2 different occasions, I would once again offer up and submit, like, not quite the same thing. Carmouche may go out there and throw 8 shutout. It's certainly possible. I don't think I would tie it back to Hagen Smith and Hunter Holland unlocking the cheat code for a Tulane pitcher that's been pitching in the American all year and has an ERA of 5.44. And has given up 10 homers and a batting average against of 281. It's not exactly Hagen Smith numbers coming from Dylan Carmouche. So I thought the interview was fine. If it fires you up, makes you a little more amped up to watch the game, so be it. But I think Dylan is just fine. That's it for the first hour here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I opened up telling you how I would pitch this regional if I was Jay Johnson. I gave you Ty Floyd on Friday, Paul Skeens on Saturday, Thatcher Hurd ready to go on Sunday. That, I think, is the best way for LSU to take control of the regional. So that's how I would do it. I gave you my reasons why back at 1 o'clock. Joe Freeman, I thought, was great. He covers Oregon State for the Oregonian. He talked all things Beavers, gave us a real thought on the pitching staff and kind of where their shortcomings are. They've had some injuries and they've had some poor performance. And then talked a little about their offense and what's made them so good this year. So if you want to go check out, I would highly suggest checking it out on demand. It was What If Wednesday. We talked about changing college baseball's postseason and staying in a dorm room during a regional. So go catch all that on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. All our shows are there. OTB, Live at Lunch, Hunt Palmer Show, After Further Review, all there on 1045ESPN.com. You can also find us on Google Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you find your sound, you can find us. And, of course, you can find us on YouTube. I want to invite you to head over to our YouTube pages. We've got 2 for you to subscribe to. We've got Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. Hunt on LSU, all LSU football, all the time. If you're not a big baseball, basketball fan, just want your football, Hunt on LSU. It'll come right to you if you subscribe to that channel. And Hunt on Saints as well, as we talk black and gold. All of our Saints content pushed to that spot. And they're indigestible, like 10, 12-minute clips. So easy to get to there on YouTube. Excited for hour number 2 coming up. Chris Demui going to be with us at the bottom of the hour talking LSU baseball. I know he's gone deep into this regional, but when we come back after SportsCenter, we're going to chat with Jay Sirianni. He's the head coach at Sam Houston State. His team is coming to Baton Rouge as the 3 seed. We'll learn a lot about his club, the Bearcats, coming up after SportsCenter on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford has $15,000 off plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on all new 22 Ford F-150 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat have one more day to prep for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And our Monica McNutt wonders if the Heat can somehow slow down the production of Nikola Jokic.
I have this theory that if you keep him off the glass, then you can disrupt what he's able to do both as a scorer and a facilitator. Now, keeping Jokic off the glass is far easier said than done.
Monica McNutt, the finals tip off in Denver tomorrow night. Coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ABC TV, and the ESPN app. Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, Adem Bona, withdraws his name from the NBA draft. He'll stay at UCLA for his sophomore season. UConn senior point guard Tristan Newton also withdraws. He'll play a second season for the national champs. Newton had 19 points and 10 rebounds in the NCAA title game against San Diego State. And ESPN's Jonathan Givony reports Colorado junior Tristan Da Silva withdraws from the draft. He'll stay with the Buffaloes for another season.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, on Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is on Palmer.
Hour number 2 here on this Wednesday. Half a short work week in the rear view mirror. We're all working towards the weekend. We'll get regional baseball at the box. We talked Tulane in hour number 1. We talked Oregon State in hour number 1. Now it's time to turn our attention to the 3 seed, the Sam Houston State Bearcats. And their head coach, Jay Sirianni, joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Coach, I know you're busy. Appreciate some time. How are you?
Doing good, guys. We're just loading up the bus now.
Loading up the bus to head on to Baton Rouge. What was your reaction when you saw that we were headed to Baton Rouge and that your first-round matchup would be Oregon State?
Well, I mean, we're excited. It's always nice to be able to watch that show and know you're in and then just wait to find out where you're headed. But we know we have 3 good teams in that regional, and we're going to have to play well.
Well, you played pretty well offensively in the WAC tournament. I pulled up the scores and went, oh, my God, 11 runs in the opener, then 17, 22, 12, and 21 in the final. What got into your guys offensively?
Well, I mean, it was an offensive weekend for everybody. The whole ballpark was. But, you know, I think our guys did a really good job of controlling the strike zone and getting good pitches to hit. So, you know, we have an experienced lineup. These guys have had success for 2 years now.
I looked back at some of your bio and some of your history, and look, you joined Sam Houston prior to the 15 season. You had a couple freshman All-American arms, another third-team All-American. You've had 7 pitchers drafted in your time there, set strikeout records on multiple occasions. You're a pitching guy. And as I look around the country, I see the sport just shifting very offensively. What has that been like from your perspective? It looks like your team's adapted to it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I would start with just everybody's bigger, stronger, and more physical. And then, you know, when you do that and then you put in the technology of a strike zone being pretty tight, it's definitely more hitter-friendly than it is pitching-friendly like it used to be. So you got to adapt, and you just got to move on and figure out how to get guys out.
You mentioned that tighter strike zone. That's something we've talked a lot about here in Baton Rouge, LSU. It seems like when they get into some trouble, they're walking guys, but you look around and a lot of teams are walking guys. Have you had to change the mentality of your pitchers to say, hey, you've got a challenge and you might give up some runs, but you better throw it over the plate?
Yeah, I mean, it's always better to only give up 1 versus giving up 3 or 4 because you just gave up 3 bases, you know. And it's hard for guys to understand that, but it's a constant battle of trying to force weak early contact. It's not easy, especially when guys have great approaches.
I looked at the stat sheet and saw Tyler Davis hitting .432 on the year with 7 home runs. He's stolen 13 bases for you. And then I read a little bit deeper and saw that he was a Friday night starter at one point. Can you kind of give us the arc of Tyler Davis's career?
Tells you what we know as coaches, doesn't it? He was a really successful two-way kid out of high school. Went to Wichita State to be a pitcher. And when he left there, he came back here, and we signed him to pitch on Friday night. He did it in 21. I think it happened because we, a day of pitchers BP where, you don't walk anybody or throw a shutout. And so he jumps in there and he's running the ball out of the ballpark. So going into 22, we're like, hey, let's be a two-way guy. He was trying to make some arm slot adjustments and stuff like that. And we thought he'd probably play better out of the bullpen anyway. So we thought, all right, let's see if he can DH or play first and hit a little bit. Then he blew out and ended up having to have surgery. So was able to come back and hit first. We've used him a little bit on the mound. It's been tough when nobody expects him to hit almost 500. And so we've kind of just left him in the lineup.
Chatting with Jay Sirianni, the head coach at Sam Houston State. They'll come in as a 3 seed at the Baton Rouge Regional here this weekend. Joe Redfield, another guy who's had a great year for you offensively, hitting over 400 and leading your team with 13 home runs. What kind of player is Joe?
Joe's I'd say he's kind of an all-around player. He plays a premier position in center field, and the power came along, I would say, a little faster than we expected or really anybody expected. But he's got a good approach. You're going to have to get him out in the strike zone, and that's always it's not always easy to do that. But he's had a really good year, and we're going to need him to play well this weekend.
As far as pitching goes, I'm not going to ask you to tip your hand and give me who your starters are going to be, but I can just look at the statistics and see that Colton Atkinson has been a weekend guy for you. Stephen Beard has made 15 starts. Gabby Coldiron's made 11 starts for you. When you go into a weekend where you're going to have to play 3, 4, maybe even 5 games, what has that discussion been with your staff and with the players as to how you're going to plan to pitch this thing?
Well, the funnest part was we just got through, 6 games in 4 days, 4 games in 2 days. So these guys have kind of been all hands on deck now for over a week. And right now we're all feeling pretty good. And once we get a starter going, we'll start trying to figure out who's the next guy in line in the out of the bullpen, and how we'll piece it together just kind of depends on what we see once we get going and get into the games.
You've played at Texas Tech for a weekend this year, played at Texas A&M, played at Texas, and Sam Houston's been a team that's been in regionals a significant amount. They came here in 2013. So has playing in some of those bigger venues maybe helped your guys to what they'll see at the box this weekend?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've always played a challenging schedule here at Sam, and I think anytime you get to challenge yourself, and as often as we get to challenge ourselves, we played LSU in the Round Rock Classic earlier this year, and didn't go our way, but I think we got better since then. And so, yeah, I think all those situations have helped us get better through the course of the spring.
I'm curious as to the scouting aspect of this. You've got 3 teams that you're potentially going to play here. Obviously, a lot of games now in college baseball are streamed on the internet, and you can find them, but maybe there's something I don't know about. What is the process like for getting ready to scout opposing offenses and pitchers as you've got a week to get ready for 3 teams?
Oh, it's tricky. I mean, our ops guy does a little bit of some analytical stuff. Our volunteer will kind of, be punching the numbers into the sheet of paper, and then I'm kind of the old school guy where I'll just watch a couple of games on video and see what I see. But it's a full staff. It's all of us in it together, and our hitting guys are going to bear down on starters and relievers, and we're going to bear down on the hitting side and try to come up with the best plan. But ultimately, you try to put your guys in the best spot and use what they can do well, and stick to their strengths versus what might always be the right pitch or the right game plan.
Obviously, I know you got your hands full on Friday night with the good Oregon State team, but LSU is in this regional, and I'm in Baton Rouge here. So I'll ask you, I know one guy that won a couple of games against LSU this year. That was Dave Van Horn, who you've got some a past with. Any chance you called Coach Van Horn up in Fayetteville and asked for a few tips on the Tigers?
Well, I probably would, but I would get the same answer that I would if we were playing a high school team. He's going to give me the same answer. He's pretty simple. It's just compete, play hard, and get the big hit when you can, and that's kind of been his line forever. You know, he doesn't like guys that don't throw strikes, and so we're going to try to throw the strike throwers, and we're going to compete and make routine plays. So I would call him, but I'd get the same answer that I would no matter who we were playing.
Well, Coach, congrats on winning the WAC tournament and a great season. Safe travels over to Baton Rouge, and enjoy the weekend. Best of luck.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
That's Jay Sirianni, head coach over at Sam Houston State. I'm curious, guys like that have been pitching guys and have had so much success coaching pitchers over their time, and you start to look at the scores of some of their games. Utah Valley 12-10, 22-8 against Grand Canyon, 17-10 against Abilene Christian. This is just the WAC tournament. 11-7 in 7 innings. They're just 10-6 is the game they lost. Like, all these games are slugfests. And I know that when you're only looking at your team, you're like, well, we got to pitch better. We got to pitch better. We got to pitch better. And you look around and nobody's pitching any better. It's just maybe Wake's pitching a little bit better. Everybody else is having some trouble. And Coach Sirianni's been an amazing pitching coach in his time as an assistant and as a head coach. And they come in here with a staff that's got some pretty inflated ERAs at this point. I mean, I mentioned Colton Atkinson, Stephen Beard, and Gavy Coldiron as the guys who have started the most games for him. All those guys' ERAs are over 4, and Coldiron's is over 6.5. So that's just the way you gotta do it. There's going to be, I'm telling you, this weekend in the box, there is going to be some offense. You got a Sam Houston team that is swinging the bat exceptionally well in the WAC tournament. You've got an Oregon State team that leans on its offense in a big way. LSU is as offensive as any team in the country, and Tulane found a way to swing the bats like crazy last weekend. So I don't know how many 5-3s you're going to see this weekend. It just feels like there are going to be a lot of games that are knocking it up around 8 or 10 runs, and whoever swings it the best and probably throws the most strikes and then walk people probably win. We appreciate Coach Sirianni for jumping aboard and giving us some time, and we'll see his team on Friday night against Oregon State. We'll take a timeout. 20 minutes from Chris Demui on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Denver Nuggets host the Miami Heat in Game 1 of the NBA Finals Thursday night at 7:30, with Game 2 Sunday night at 7 p.m. Your home for the 2023 NBA Finals is 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Chris Demui going to be with us as usual on Wednesdays in 15 minutes. Talking LSU baseball. I just wanted to toss a couple of things out there. And I realize that I get labeled an excessive sunshine pumper at times. There's actually a couple people in the Bayou Ford chat who think I'm overly pessimistic. I guess if you have the opinion, if both opinions are held, and maybe I'm somewhere in the middle, which I would like to think. I think I'm a little more optimistic than pessimistic, but that's just kind of depending on the situation. I think there may be a feeling that LSU's offense is not playing as well as it can entering the postseason. And some of that centers around Dylan Cruz not hitting 500 and striking out a little bit. Some of that centers around Gavin Dugas not swinging the bat quite as well as he did early when he was phenomenal. And that's all true. Dylan has struck out a little bit more over the last couple of weeks, and Gavin has not been the force he was in February and March. But in the same vein, like Tommy White was smoking hot in Athens, and Hayden Travinski was on fire in Hoover. And you've gotten some production from some other guys. Jordan Thompson had a power surge there for a moment. Josh Pearson had a nice weekend in Athens. Cade Belloso's been pretty consistent. And yeah, Jared Jones has scuffled and is falling out of the lineup, and that's just kind of the natural progression of a season. But any way you slice it in Hoover, as I mentioned back on yesterday, they scored 10 runs against South Carolina. And then in the two games where they only scored 4 runs, they got 23 hits in 18 innings. That's well more than a hit an inning. I think they were okay. You know, you can't run the ball out of the yard in Hoover like you can at the box this week. Maybe a couple of fly balls that you hit to the track are just short of it, or home runs this week. We'll see what the wind does, but it's going to be warm and it's going to be hitter friendly. I just have a hard time saying that they're on the skids offensively when they dropped the 10 spot on South Carolina, then got 11 hits in a game that Hagen Smith and Hunter Holland pitched, and then had 12 more hits against Texas A&M in a game where they just couldn't get the hit to knock in a couple of runs late. No, I don't want them to strike out as much as they did on Thursday. I don't want that many strikeouts. 17 strikeouts, too many. I'm right there with you. But I think they're swinging the bat okay. And just for context, I'm just going to go with the stats, not with what I think or what I feel or what I want. I'm just going to go right off the stat page. When LSU faces a left-handed starting pitcher, they are 16-5. When they face a right-handed starter, they're 27-10. Their winning percentage is better against left-handed starters than right-handed starters. Did they hit Hagen Smith and Hunter Holland very well in the 2 games they saw them? Nope. Did they light up a bunch of left-handers along the way? Yep. Now, if you made me pick, you can have a right-handed starter, you can have a left-handed starter, I'd probably pick a right-handed starter. I think they've been a little more consistent against right-handed starters offensively. And 1-loss doesn't tell the entire story, but to suggest that they have some sort of monster kryptonite that is left-handed pitching, I think would be disingenuous. And I know if Tulane sends Dylan Carmouche out there and LSU doesn't have a hit through 3 innings, oh Lord, is this thing going to come unraveled? I was listening to Paul Maneri earlier today on Live at Lunch, and he was talking about the 09 opener against Southern, where Richard carved him up for 6 innings, and I was covering that game. I was with Channel 9 at the time, and I was in the press box covering that game, and they just, Southern hit a leadoff home run, and they got a lead, and it just was a little bumpy for LSU, and eventually the dam broke, and they got it rolling. And I've already got a segment queued up for Friday, because we're only going to get to talk baseball for like an hour on Friday. From 2 to 3, when the game starts and I'm still on the air, doing a bunch of baseball content probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But there's going to be a segment on Friday, for those that listen, probably around 1:15, of a history of kind of how regionals have gone for LSU. And I'll tell you this, because your memories, the flood of memories that you have are more so in Supers and then very much in Omaha. That's what we remember the most around here. And when a team gets through a regional, but there were some really bumpy spots, I think we fail to remember that as well as we do the bumps in the road in Omaha or the successes in Omaha or super regionals or that kind of stuff. Like the regional, I feel like kind of gets left in the past. Just get through it one way or another. It usually gets bumpy at some point. And I'll go back and I'll give you all the examples. I've got that one in 09. In 09, the regional, they went to extra innings with Baylor. Bernardo had to throw, I think, 10 innings. I'll have the whole stats pulled up. But this LSU team, at this point, entering this regional, I don't believe has a massive hole. There are some deficiencies. You're not as deep in the bullpen as you'd like to be. Very few teams are. You don't have as many proven arms as you would like. Very few do. But you're in pretty good shape entering the regional. You're fairly healthy. I know that you've lost 3 pitchers for the year. I know that your catcher's out for the year. I know that your second baseman's banged up. I got all that. Tommy White didn't play on Friday. Like I know it's not perfect, but you're fairly healthy. Your ace is ready to roll. You swung the bat pretty well offensively. I'm going to lean on those things, especially given the lack of circumstance in Hoover. As opposed to, well, they're 7-7 in their last 14. They're just not playing very well. 7-7, last 14. That's just not the way I see it. I think they were playing better in late April than they are now. But I think they're finding some things. I feel so much better about Ty Floyd or Thatcher Hurd than I did 3 weeks ago. I feel like Riley Cooper and Nate Ackenhausen may have found something. Riley Cooper was not a 300 batting average against guy his first 2 years of college baseball. Maybe he found a little something. And I'm just not concerned about Skeens out against Arkansas because I tip my cat to Arkansas. Phenomenal effort. Phenomenal. And I wanted to get a little something out of Jay Sirianni there, see if he called Dave Van Horn. Thought that was a up to the line question. Because he's not going to give away his tips or throw his guy under the bus. But I'm betting he did call Dave Van Horn about some thoughts on Skeens and whatnot, because Dave Van Horn's now seen him twice. And Skeens owned him in the box, and then they really did a good job in Hoover. And I don't know if Sam Houston's got the guys to replicate that, because Arkansas is a pretty special baseball program. But you can bet they'll try. So just wanted a couple things out there. I think the offense is rolling okay. The statistics and the numbers would tell me that against left-handed pitching, they're okay. They've got a better winning percentage against left-handed starters than right-handed starters. They just got to play well. Like, it all boils back to that. And it's I didn't watch the women's basketball team play every game they played this year. Far from it. But I watched the national championship game. And my thought was not, women's basketball related. It was, man, for these coaches, you coach and you coach and you recruit and you develop and you coach. And then you've got to send your players out there in the biggest moments. And you just hope that they play well. Paul Maneri is not the reason Alex Lang gave up 4 home runs against Coastal Carolina. He's also not the reason DJ LeMahieu pumped it off the wall with 2 outs in Game 1 against Texas. You just got to hope your players go out there and play well. And that's where I am with LSU at this point. Jay Johnson put together a really good roster. They did everything they needed to do in a 56-game regular season to put themselves in an advantageous spot to go play in the postseason. And now they've got to go out there and play. If Thatcher Hurd goes out there and walks 4 guys in the first inning and only gets 2 outs, that's just the players not doing it. Conversely, if he goes out there and throws 7 innings of 3-run baseball with 6 strikeouts and 105 pitches, it wasn't some fairy dust that Jay Johnson and Wes Johnson sprinkled on him. You got to go out there and play. I'm less on narratives at this point with this team than I am on, okay, this is what we got. This is what it looks like. It's pretty good. Let's go play on Friday. I'm curious to get Demui's thoughts on it. I'm curious to get his thoughts on who he would pitch and where this team is. And he's got some information on the other teams as well that we'll get to. Because I'm out tomorrow, and Taylor will be in, and then I'll come back on Friday for an hour and kind of give my last thoughts. I'll have a starting pitcher by then. I'll have some thoughts on everything that goes forward into that on Friday. But this is kind of a pushing off period for me on this show of, okay, this is what the team is. Give you some thoughts on the pitching decision and the opponent on Friday, and then they're going to play. And then we'll react to it on Monday and Tuesday. Hopefully they're still alive. For my mental sanity, my fanhood, and for the content of this show. Because the second they lose, you got to start reaching. So let's hope the Tigers are still around as of next week. Let's take a timeout. We'll go to a former Tiger on the Jim's Firearm Hotline when we come back. It's Chris Demui on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. Where personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like this Wall Street.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and
on Thursday's OTB. The penultimate day before the postseason begins. Are the Tigers ready for the regional? Plus, the latest from the SEC spring meetings. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I know I said this yesterday. You don't really want to peach yourself a lot, but I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it again today. I'm just digging the Feinbaum backdrop. 1 week a year, he goes to Destin for the SEC spring meetings, and they set up right there on the beach. And it's just a very happy sight. You got the sun, the wind's blowing. Like anybody that's been down to the beach, which is 99.9% of us, I think, it's just, you can smell it, you can taste it. It's just a wonderful time to be at the beach, and so hopefully they're enjoying themselves. And it just brings me a little joy in this freezing cold studio. It's kind of tucked in a third floor building to look up and see the Hilton Sandestin. It looks lovely out there. All right, let's talk baseball now. Chris Demui is our guest each and every Wednesday at 2:30. He's, of course, the host of the 60 Feet 6 Inches LSU Baseball Podcast, former Tiger and left-hander. He's on the Jim's Firearms Hotline right now. Demui, how are you?
Good, Hunt. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. It's time to play some regional baseball. You feel okay after the SEC tournament?
Yeah. I mean, I think you saw some good things. Obviously, you never want to lose a game, but I thought the pitching threw really well, except for, 2 innings and those 2 losses. The hitting left some things to be desired, I guess, but I think the offense will show up more times than not. I know Jay made some changes the last game against A&M to get some guys some innings and then get some guys some ABs, but I think they get a chance to rest. I didn't have a problem with them blowing out arms to try to figure out how to win the last couple of games. Just come home, rest, get out the heat, get your mind right, and get ready for the regional. So I'm sure they're full of confidence and ready to roll. I'm
not going to bury the lead. Who would you start on Friday? You got Tulane.
I heard your take. I heard it at the beginning of the show, so I listened to your monologue. So I disagree with you. I'm going Herd.
Okay.
I think I understand what you're thinking in terms of the back end of the regional, but if I have to have a guy to potentially get LSU to Omaha, or even potentially in the worst case scenario save their season, right, then I'm going to give it to Ty Floyd just because of the confidence I have in him at this point. Not that Herd couldn't do it, but I mean, the max you're going to get out of Herd is what you've seen is 5 innings, around 100 pitches, and you've seen Floyd go up to 118. He could probably even push into the 120s right now, the way he's feeling. So I just worry about if you put Hurd in that situation and you get five out of him, you turn over at the bullpen and something bad happens and you lose that game, then you got to come back. So I kind of trying to think in worst case scenarios. So that's why I would want Floyd in that spot, and I'd throw Hurd against Tulane.
In a tight game, okay, theoretically, they don't start Thatcher Hurd on Friday. We'll just play a hypothetical here. And either Friday or Saturday's game are close. What would you think about Thatcher Hurd being used as a high-leverage bullpen arm?
No problem. I think you got to win the games that are in front of you, right? You can't just throw somebody in there in hopes of saving Hurd. 2 losses and your season's over. So in your scenario, say Skeens has reached his limit and it's 2-1, right, in the 8th. And they feel like going to Hurd instead of, say, a Guidry, I have no problem with that. And then you figure the rest out along the way, right? So I would do it because I'm going to take the win. I'm just going to try to do whatever I can to win that game and figure out the rest and let the other teams fight it out while I'm sitting in the winner's bracket.
Is there any sort of mental game that goes on with the team if Jay Johnson sends Javen Coleman or Thatcher Hurd or one of his lesser? Somebody's not Skeens or Floyd. Does that send any sort of message to the team?
Yeah, I think so. And I thought about this when I was doing the preview podcast for the regional opponent breakdown. I thought about it in the opposite. Like, what if you send Skeens against Tulane?
Yeah.
What kind of message does that send to the team, right? You're like, wait a second, coach. What are we doing? But I think it can because it's just I don't know. I wouldn't think that the coaches were taking that game not serious, right? Because anybody can beat anybody in college baseball. But I think as a player, I don't know. I've never been a hitter, obviously, but they might have to question that, right? To say, I'm sure they would have confidence in whoever he's sent up there, and they would have his reasons. But I would think there'd be a little questioning going on, but only for a little while. I don't think it would affect them when they got to the field or anything like that, or when they crossed the white line. But I'm sure in the cages or shagging fly balls, they'd be like, that's interesting. Why would we think he's doing that? And then eventually they get over, right? They're college kids. They're not going to overthink it. But I'm sure there would be some talk.
Where's your confidence level? Rank them 1, 2, 3 from the lefties here with Coleman and Cooper and Ackenhausen leaving Hoover.
Coleman, okay. Cooper, Ackenhausen, Coleman, and Cooper and Ackenhausen are close. Ackenhausen struggled with his command a little bit, but I'm glad he was able to stay out there and get extended innings since he's come off that injury. And really, they let him work and build up his pitch count and just let him struggle through some command issues. And you can tell, one, he didn't want to come out that game when Jay was visiting the mound. And he was frustrated with himself at the end because he wanted to finish that sucker. And I think he just wanted to end it on a good note. So that's kind of where I am. I thought Cooper threw the ball really, really well. And I think Coleman's still just trying to figure it, right? He's pitching really well, even though his velocity is way down. He's in the mid-80s, it looks like, lately. Yeah. So I think all three of those guys, I trust all three of those guys, but if I had to pick an order, that's what I'd go with right now.
Any reason Cooper was better in the game on Thursday?
I don't know. He looked like, it feels like a month ago that game took place. Yeah. I just remember him attacking his zone. He worked quick. He gave up a hit to give up a run, but after that, from what I remember, he threw the ball really, really well, and he kept A&M, right?
Arkansas.
Arkansas? See,
yeah.
I can't remember. But I was just really impressed with him, the way he threw. And it looked like you've seen glimpses of that. It's kind of the old Riley Cooper. You thought he was going to be like that from here on out. But, as Jay said in the media, I think, Cooper's one of the only guys that's played in the College World Series, maybe besides Bryce Collins. And he's pitched in high-leverage situations, and I think Jay trusts him.
So I know that y'all did a preview podcast, and you've dove into this thing. As far as LSU's opponents go, I'll give it to you as a blank canvas. What stands out about this regional, the three opponents coming in? You can start with Tulane. You can go to Oregon State. What stood out when you started going through some research?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Tulane is, they had their backs against the wall in the AAC conference tournament. They had to come out of the losers bracket. And in doing so, they scored like 10 runs, 11 runs, 8 runs, 11 runs, 10 runs, or 8 again, So they were hitting the ball. And the other thing that's going to play is, they have local flavor. They have guys, 2 guys from Catholic High that are going to hit in the top 5 of their lineup. I would imagine Dylan Carmouche is going to pitch, who's a U-High product, who has a ton of strikeouts, over 8 innings pitched, around 100 strikeouts, a big 6'4" lefty with kind of a funky delivery, low 90s fastball. So I think LSU is going to take a little while to solve them. So Tulane's, look, they're playing with house money, right? It's free and easy when they walk out there. They don't have a care in the world. They have zero expectations that are being put on them. So that's scary. That's always a scary proposition. Sam Houston, they can just flat out hit. One of the best hitting teams in the country. 2 guys hitting over 400. I heard you preview their pitchers. I thought you did a great job. Their arms don't scare me. They have 2 really good guys in the bullpen. I think if it gets close, they trust those guys. But those guys can roll out of bed and just swing it, and they'll swing it all weekend. And I don't really think it matters who is on the bump for the other team. And they run. They steal a lot of bases. And then when I look at Oregon State, as you mentioned, they're having some pitching injuries right now with their number 2 going down. But I tried to look for an SEC team to compare them to, and I felt like Alabama was a good comparison. Oregon State's got maybe not outstanding pitching numbers, but very good. A lot of their numbers are very similar to LSU's, especially in Team ERA. And they got a guy at the top of the lineup, Travis Bazana, who could start for LSU, and he's an absolute dude. He's hitting 379. He's got 36 stolen bags, which is top 10 in the country. He leads their team in RBIs, or he's right near the top. So I think the top of their order is very good. And they're not your typical Oregon State team, right, where they get a man on first and they're going to bunt him over to second and it's the first inning. So they can swing the bat, and I think they probably trust that maybe a little more than they're pitching right now. So they're just a very good, solid team, and I have no problem letting Oregon State and Sam Houston fight it out as much as possible.
Yeah, play all night if you want to. That's just fine with us. You think LSU gets out of the regional?
Yeah, I do, and I predicted that a little bit of a twist. I think they beat Sam Houston. I think they'll play Sam Houston. That's just what I think. I don't know why. Just weird things happen in regionals, right? Maybe Oregon State peters out with the lack of pitching. And like I said, Sam Houston can hit with anybody in the country. And I don't care who the competition is. When you look at their numbers, they can flat out swing it. So they're not afraid to win games 15-12. And but yeah, I think they make it through. And I even predicted I think they'll play West Virginia in the regional. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a ton about West Virginia, that they have a star who's maybe potentially a Golden Spikes type guy. But we've watched Kentucky all year. What do you think about their style of play in a regional?
I think it could be problems. I think especially on that turf, they're kind of built for that, a little bit like Vanderbilt, but I just don't like their arms at all. I don't think they have anybody that's overpowering. They have to mix and match a lot. And they just use a lot of arms, and I just don't like them. Now they got some guys that can swing it, and they bunt, and they run. So I think they can put pressure on you in different ways. But I think I looked at some West Virginia stats this morning, and they don't have a ton of – they have good arms, but not a ton of swing and miss arms. And that dude at the top of their lineup, he is an absolute stud. So he can flat out play. But I just think they're probably pretty evenly matched, and I don't know. West Virginia's probably mad because they're having to stay in dorms.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if you went over that story yet.
We did, and they're having to pay $91 a night to stay in the dorms to Kentucky. So there you go. So tell everybody where they can find your preview podcast to get ready for the regional.
Yeah, I just released it really late last night, but it's on the YouTube channel. I got a link to it on my Twitter account as well. It's 60 feet 6 inches LSU Pod on YouTube, and the Twitter account is at 60FT6IN LSU Pod, and available where all major audio platforms and all podcasts are found. So yeah, check it out. I just kind of did a little deeper dive than I just did with you on each 3 of the teams, and I just kind of gave my predictions for the regional. Went over that for about 10 minutes. So I appreciate it, man.
You going to be out there this weekend?
No. Of all things, I'm going to be in Tuscaloosa for a wedding. So I don't think I'll have time to catch the Alabama regional. They're going to walk through that thing, I think. BC, I've watched them play a lot this year. They're not super impressive. So I'd imagine Alabama's got a chance to go up there and give Wake some trouble in the super regionals. But I'll be in Tuscaloosa at a wedding, so I won't be out there.
Well, enjoy that. Stay away from all the crazies up there. Thanks, Demui. We'll talk next week.
All right, Hunt. Appreciate it, man.
He is Chris Demui, 60 feet 6 inch baseball, LSU baseball podcast. Former Tiger Southpaw national champion, joins us every single Wednesday at this time. All right, let's get on out of town. We'll do some take it or leave it next. Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. I was talking to David Duvall last week. I told you all this, and a lot of the phone calls he's getting in terms of the bathroom renovations and remodels are from folks that have aging parents who want to stay in their home, but they need some things tweaked in the bathroom to make it functional for them. And he's happy to do that. They'll come in. Maybe it's a walk-in tub they need, maybe some other features that he can talk you through with a free consultation. If you've got an aging parent that may need some help in their bathroom, One Bath and Closets can help you with that. And on the closet side, we were talking about shoe storage. Nobody's got enough. I know that we don't have enough. Dave Duvall and his team can help you with that. They'll come in, they'll give you a questionnaire, they'll let you go through the free consultation, and they'll show you what they can do with a customized closet to your need. But you won't know unless you go to onebathandclosets.com and request that consultation right up there. You can see the testimonials. You can see some of the pictures of their great work. Check out the website. It's onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents.
Sandgriff, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Matt Humans will be with us. Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas and Ronnie Rance on the LSU Baton Rouge Regional. Live at Lunch, 11 to 1 weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
As I've mentioned a couple times, I will be out tomorrow. Got some things to take care of with the coworkers here down in New Orleans. Got a convention to go to. So Taylor Sharp's going to be in tomorrow. He will have Joe Healy of D1 Baseball on. I believe he's going to have Brody Miller from The Athletic. I want to talk a little football as well. So Taylor will handle things from 1 to 3 tomorrow. I'm back in action from 1 to 3 on Friday, and that'll be an hour of pregame and then an hour of me staring at my computer watching the baseball game. And hoping that LSU does well and trying to do a radio show. So that'll be really exciting stuff for you all to hang out with on Friday. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's play some Take It or Leave It, Alondra.
All right, PGA Tour player J.B. Holmes entered a $60,000 Calcutta tournament under his given name of John Bradley. Didn't tell anyone. When the administrators found out, they disqualified him from the event. Take it or leave it.
This is a funny story for those that missed it. Alondra spelled it out, but there was a tournament. The Calcutta for the winning team was $60,000. And there's no rule against having a PGA Tour player on your team, but you've got teams that are buying into the Calcutta, and he didn't put J.B. Holmes on the team name. It's a scramble, and there were 6 golfers on it. He just put John Bradley and then entered the tournament. And people were not wild about the fact that they were betting on themselves and spending exorbitant amounts of money, and there was not exactly the most forthcoming explanation of who was playing on the other team. It's like you show up to play in a basketball game, and you've bet on yourself to win the game for a significant amount of money, and you find out that, oh, Russell Westbrook's playing in this tournament. That may be a problem. Maybe a little past his prime, but he was one of the best players in the world at one point, and J.B. Holmes played on 2 Ryder Cup teams. And so they just marked their names off it, and they voided the Calcutta. J.B. Holmes' team did win. Surprise, surprise. And they just didn't have it. So be honest about your name, people. He wasn't breaking any rules. He was just being dishonest. Be honest, J.B. Holmes.
Okay, Scottie Pippen told former teammate Stacey King that Michael Jordan was horrible to play with and that he wasn't a winning player. Quote, he was going after scoring titles, end quote. Take it or leave it.
I mean, Scotty, I'm going to leave this. I realize that Mike may not have been the easiest guy to play with at times because of how demanding he was and how intense he was and how often he wanted the basketball and the fact that he did like the spotlight a little bit. But come on now. He left for 2 years and y'all didn't win, and then you went to Houston and you didn't win, and every time he was there, you did win. And I think the notion that he was just going for scoring titles, so they won the title at North Carolina. He won titles winning the scoring title. So he was a great defensive player. He was an incredible competitor. And I feel like those two have just had this massive falling out. Now, there's some issues that my wife knows more than me on the Bravo side of thing, where like Scotty's ex-wife and Michael Jordan's kid might be together. I don't know how that, I can't get into all of that. And that doesn't sound awesome. But, you know, let's just, for the basketball side of things, we all know that Michael Jordan was good and that y'all had a great run. Just leave it at that. You don't need to try to throw some shade at MJ. You don't try to give yourself a little extra shine on the Bulls dynasty. I think Jordan was a pretty big piece of the puzzle there. So it seems like a little bit of overstepping of bounds by Scotty.
Can we get your wife on the show to break that down for us?
She would love to do that. She thinks it's ridiculous that we don't talk about the romantic interests of every player in sports. She thinks that's all anybody wants to hear about. I said, no. In fact, nobody wants to hear about that, and I think it's ridiculous that you watch these drunk people scream at each other and cheat on each other on Bravo, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay. Bourbon Street, take it or leave it.
Yeah, crew's going down to New Orleans for tomorrow. I've outgrown Bourbon Street. I liked Bourbon Street in college, had some fun there, maybe a bachelor party in my early 20s. At this point, I'd rather maybe go to a hotel bar that's a little nicer and maybe a little quieter, maybe a little cleaner. It has its place, and it's a place that I've had a lot of fun over the years. But I don't know that I'll be venturing over to Bourbon Street tonight. I think I'll be just fine maybe at the hotel bar, maybe watching something on TV, chatting in a place where I can hear somebody where there's not massively loud music booming through. I mean, I'm probably not going to get like 3-for-1 drinks like they do at the Swamp down there. Where like there's one bar, I think it was called the Swamp, where you'd go and they had 3-for-1 all afternoon. And if you just order a beer, they immediately open 3 and hand you 3. It's like you better be with the group or else you're going to have to drink those pretty quick because they don't even care. They're just going to give you 3. But I've outgrown it. I think it's a sad state of affairs, but it is what it is. It's time for others to enjoy the fruits of Bourbon Street. I'll be somewhere else in the quarter or maybe even uptown.
No shark attack for Hunt today. The Heat will shock the world one more time and knock off the Nuggets. Take it or leave it.
I want to take it, but I'm going to leave. I think Jokic is too good. I'm a little concerned that they haven't played in a while, and that may be a bit of an issue in Game 1. But they're really good. They've been really good all year, and I just think that Jokic is so steady. He controls the flow of the game so well with his passing and scoring. It's just hard to get the Nuggets out of a rhythm. It's easy. It appears to me that it's easy to get the Celtics out of a rhythm, and they did that routinely. I think it's hard to get the Nuggets out of a rhythm. So I will leave it. I think that the Nuggets will beat the Heat. That's it for Take It or Leave It. Baseball is a funny game. Cubs got swept by the Reds over the weekend, and then the Tampa Bay Rays come in town with the best record in baseball, and the Cubs are 5 outs from sweeping them. It's just crazy, crazy game that is baseball, and I hope the Cubs do sweep them. That would be fantastic. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. All our shows log there each and every day. I opened the show giving you my explanation as to why I would throw Ty Floyd on Friday. That's what I've settled on after analyzing the teams, analyzing statistics, kind of go over scenarios in my mind. I'm going with Ty Floyd. I told you why at the top of the show. Joe Freeman was great from the Oregonian, talking about Oregon State baseball. He'll be coming down to cover the Beavers for the newspaper. It was a What If Wednesday. We covered a couple topics there, and then looked at some sound from Dylan Carmouche, who may get the ball for Tulane on Friday, and what he had to say about LSU. Jay Sirianni, head coach at Sam Houston State, good enough to join us at the top of hour number 2. Appreciated his perspective on his team as they come in after winning the WAC tournament. And Chris Demui, always awesome at 2:30 on Wednesdays, and certainly was today before some Take It or Leave It. So go catch that on demand, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and of course on YouTube, where you can find Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. Subscribe to those channels. All right, Matt Moscona, not here. Matt Musso is here. He's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Taylor's in tomorrow. I will see y'all Friday on the Hunt Palmer Show.